It just occurred to me that it's August, which is Vlogust. And not a lot of people do Vlogust for some reason. It's usually Vlogtober and Vlogmas for Christmas. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just try it out for a month and see how it goes. So I'm not going to vlog every single day. Like, that's not happening. But I think what I'm going to do is take it in like 2 week chunks. So you'll get 2 videos this month and it'll just be more of a vlog style. And then I'll go back to like the regular stuff. So yeah, so I'll start off this video with just a tiny trip back to Smart Supply, and before that we went to Opry Mills Mall and for dinner at Cheesecake Factory. But we stopped at the Lindor truffle chocolate place, and I don't like their chocolate. I don't like Swiss chocolate, never did. Um, but I think their display is beautiful, so I took some photos of that just to kind of show you. And then we went to Smart Supply after dinner, and definitely a hit. And I'll show that a little bit later in the vlog, how much of a hit that was. But, you know, it's hit or miss when you go there, so, you know, you never know. That loom is still there, so if you're in Nashville and you want a loom, it's still there. It's still $800. I don't know if that's a good price or not, but all right, so let's get started with the vlog. I laid out my Babette blanket on the ground so that I can see where the missing holes are and figure out what colors I want to do next. And that was a lot of work, but very helpful for me to figure out where I'm at and what's going on. I wasn't planning to, but I think I'm gonna, I wasn't planning to, but I think I'm going to have to start seaming this blanket together this morning, because it was a real hassle to get all of these pieces laid out so I can see where the gaps are and then write down on a piece of paper what colors I want for what sizes. And I have enough that I can get good chunks of it pieced together. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know how much of that I'm going to do because it's a pain to seam. But the reason why I did it modular like this was because at least half of it's going to already be knit together. So it won't be too bad. It's not like doing square by square by square, you know, it's going to be chunks at a time. But it's still going to be a pain. So I think I'm just going to give myself an hour, and whatever I get done in an hour, that's it. And then I will just put the whole thing away and then deal with it next time. I'm so mad at myself. I am on the third repeat of the leg on my autumn socks. What's it called? Forever Autumn sock. I'm looking at the chart. And I had this random thought, let me put it on my foot, see how it fits. You know, just to make sure everything's okay. I could not get the heel over my heel. Like, it just wouldn't go over. And I'm like, why is this so tight? It doesn't make any sense. My numbers are right. And I think what I did wrong was, I mentioned this in my sock video, that when I'm doing colorwork socks, I'm gonna stop. This is not part of the pattern. When I'm doing colorwork socks, I have to go up to 72 inches stitches and then decrease to 62 for the heel and then go back to 72. Any colorwork sock, that's how I have to do it because that's how it fits on my foot. It feels fine. Where I screwed up was when I went to go do my increases to go back to doing the color repeat, I started too soon. And I think that's where the problem was. I was able to get it over my foot, but I really had to, like, you know, pull on it, almost breaking the yarn. But I got it on. So I was like, okay, this feels fine once I get it on my foot. So I'm gonna keep going, and I have to block these anyway. I always block my colorwork socks because it's just a good idea. So I'm hoping with blocking, they'll probably still be tight getting over the heel, but I won't have to really tug because most of that's gonna get stretched out anyway. So that's where I'm at with that. This morning, I did seam my blanket. So I showed you where I was at and the colors that I filled in, and I made a new list for me to get more of those empty spots filled in. This is not all of it. It's just kind of going chunk by chunk so that I can kind of keep up with it and not get too confused. I'm going from top to bottom. But this morning I decided that I'm going to take that hour and seam. And I think I did mention that. It ended up being an hour and a half. Almost 2 hours, somewhere around there. So I got more done than I thought, but not a lot. And because I don't like seaming, and yeah, I do modular, right? Make it make sense. It's just tedious. I want the thing, but I don't want all that crap on my lap. So it's kind of like compromising with myself, if you will. So anyway, so I got like an hour and a half to 2 hours of seaming done. And what I did after that was I took sections of it and put them together, and that way, like when I lay it back out later, it's in its own section. I'm hoping it works that way. It's gonna get interesting when I start going back to knitting all those empty pieces and stuff, because there's some things that I do need to attach to other pieces that are in that photo, but I'll worry about that when I get there. Right now I'm taking a little bit of a break because I want to finish these socks. And I've got my Beccs cardigan over here, which I already had to modify because it's a bulky weight, and I had to modify it to add stitches because it's worsted weight. And I think, I'm not sure, because this shawl collar part is looking a little bulky when I put it over my shoulders in the mirror, you know, when I'm putting it around like this, it gets like really bulky. And I've got this odd feeling that I didn't do my counts right here in the arm section. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. This is the arm section, and I feel like I probably should have started it more back here and not up here. I don't know yet because there's just not enough knitting on here to be able to figure that out. And I don't like that because like I have to do at least another like 3 inches to be able to figure that out, which equals like, I don't know, a couple hours of knitting. And it makes me nervous because if I have to do all that and then rip all the way back to the collar, I'm gonna be really mad. But yes, I'm hoping I did the math right. Normally when I'm modifying, I'm going the other way around, so I'm knitting a bigger yarn on a smaller, like if it's a fingering weight pattern and I'm doing DKs, like I'm doing the math the opposite way, and I don't have a problem. I've never done it where I'm taking a thinner yarn and modifying for a bigger yarn. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, I'm nervous, but we'll see what happens. I'm not working on this today. I really want to get through this repeat, and then maybe tomorrow I can finish the rest of the sock and get it blocking, blah blah. So that's where I'm at for today. See y'all later. Yarn haul. If you don't want to see this, you can skip over this part. It's only going to be a couple of minutes, but I wanted to show you my yarn haul and show you why I don't know the names of half the yarn that I get when I go there. There's going to be some crinkling. Now, because a lot of things aren't labeled, you kind of have to really understand yarn. So if you've been working with yarn for a long time, then you'll be able to pick out what's wool and what isn't, if that's what you're going for. So that's what a lot of this is. So a lot of hand dyed that doesn't have a label ends up being $6. That's probably 50 grams, right? But no idea what, you know, what brand this is, if it's a hand dye or if it's a brand, you know, who knows. This one looks like it's a whole skein. Again, $12, right? Actually, I should get my scale. Let me do that real quick. Come on, there we go. Let's do grams. All right, this $6 one, 54 grams. This $12 one, 105 grams. Yeah. So you just have to be willing to not be loyal to whatever makers or whatever if you just want the yarn. This one's $8, 100 grams, $5, 102 grams, full skeins. But because there's no label, and these are so pretty. Whenever I buy anything that looks hand-dyed, I need to put it out there, especially when I was selling. I never buy anything that I can make myself. It's super rare, like very, very, very rare. I think the only time I ever did that was this pink yarn from Emma's Yarn, which I have the same freaking color. Other than that, I don't buy things that I can make. So these are things that I either don't make, won't make, don't want to make, and that's what I buy. So I got 2 skeins of this, really pretty. A lot of this is going to be socks. Orange, pink, and some yellow in there. This is kind of autumny. Actually, I think this one did have a label. It got stuck in there, but for some reason, maybe they didn't know what Malabrigo was. I mean, it's got a price on it. $19. They have it for $8. And I think that's the same thing. Yeah, so 2 skeins of that. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? I'm not done yet. I'm just showing you this part. So this is Koyu, 48 grams, $8. I don't carry high twist. I have no high twist in my, I want to say shop, but in my inventory. But I do have coming up, hopefully sometime this year, a sweater that I unraveled, and I was looking for something that would go with the red color that I unraveled. So I think this one ended up being the winner, but $8. This is another Koyu. Original price is $12.25, $8. Now, I've noticed that they try to price things 30 to 40% less than retail. But whoever did pricing this time, they had minis, 20 gram minis for $8. Now I was like, y'all, why? Now it's a charity shop, so you do what you want to do with that. But I'm just saying, if you're going to price things 30 to 40% and you put 20 gram minis out there for $8, you didn't save anything. This I thought was interesting. Cheviot Limited Destination Yarn. Never heard of them, but I got it because it was Cheviot and I like the colors. And I think what I'm going to do with this is make a hat. It looks like it'll be enough to make a hat. It looks like it's worsted weight. It says heavy DK, but it really looks like it's a worsted. So $14. I don't think there's a no, there's no original price on there. This one's $14. Where's the price on this one? I don't know. Anyway, probably about the same. I'm not sure why the price fell off of that. Okay, then all this is the same maker who I just recently discovered from looking at this yarn. I tried to find them online and they haven't posted anything in like 6 months, so I don't know what's going on with them. Their last video they said that they were starting a new job, so that might be why. But her yarn is beautiful, so go check her out. But this is ALC Yarns, Avery Lane, and Pleasantly Purple. Right, I got so many of these. These are all $14. Like, come on now. Maybe it's cold outside. Chop it like it's hot. Amber. Oh no, I think that was For Somebody. Okay, Confetti Celebration. That was really cool. Another cold one. This one, for some reason, they put at $1 more. I don't know why. Might have been somebody else tagging it. For Frog Me Not. Another $15 one. Frog Me Not. And then Unbelievable, 15. So that's my haul. And that's why I'm saying that I go there and get yarn, mostly because of this. Because I don't care where the yarn comes from as long as it's wool. So yeah, and sometimes you find interesting things like the Cheviot. I have found alpaca there. There's been, I can't use alpaca, I found out the hard way, but they have a lot of alpaca, a lot of rustic wools that don't have names on it, so probably something like a rustic Shetland or Jacob or anything. But yeah, that was my haul. So that's what I say. I don't know the names. This one, okay, this one's got Dances with Wolves. I don't know if that's the name brand. I don't know. I don't think they figured out either, which is why it's $5. But like, no name. No name. If this didn't have that in there, this would have been no name. You know what I mean? So you never know what you're going to get. And probably next time I go there in a few months, it'll be like one skein of yarn or nothing. Alright, that's the haul. Sped up for convenience, but this is how I block my socks. I do not have any blocking boards. I just use pins and a towel, and I pin into the towel. Sometimes it's on a table, sometimes it's on the floor. Doesn't really matter. But with the socks, colorwork socks, I really make sure that I stretch it out, and I do it inside out so I can see how far I'm stretching out the yarn before I start pinning anything. Yes, I'm wearing what I wore in the introduction of this video because I did everything out of order. So, today is August 3rd. So, what I want to show you today is my third strip of my Pixel quote-unquote blanket. Now you saw my haul video. Some of these yarns I don't know the names of. This one is mine. It's a color that I played around with. When did I start dyeing yarn? Back in 2017. It's probably 2018, something like that. Never had a colorway name. Never went to the shop. It's kind of Halloween-y. It's got purples and browns and orange. And then this one I think was a Patton's Croix. Maybe, I don't know. This one was a mix of my Pride and Emerald Coast. And then this was the Walk Away sock, something from Hobby Lobby that I hate. I decided to put it in the blanket. Kind of regretting that because it's a little bit thick compared to the other yarns, but it's in there. This one I think is another Patton's Croix. If it's not Patton's Croix, then it's going to be Regia, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, this is one I got in a swap, no label. I don't know where that one came from, but it's a nice blue. All of these are 5 inches long, 5 inches across, and each square is 13 squares in length, and I'm going to do, right now, 10 across. That might change, but that's the size of the blanket I'm thinking about right now. This color is spiced apple pie, that's mine, and this is my Pride colorway. Another Croix, maybe, and another Croix, maybe. This was some rust color. I feel like it might have had cashmere in it. It's really pretty though. This was a merino bamboo, I think, and then I don't know where this blue came from, but that is the entire third strip, and each strip comes out to about 59.5 inches, so 65? Is that right? Yeah, I'll do the math. I think it's 65 inches. It ain't gonna be 60 because then it'd be like right here. So yeah, it's probably 65. Anyway, so that is the trip. So what I decided to do was I want to eliminate having any more squares that are mixed like this. And mixed like this and stuff. So I went through my scrap yarn that I've been pulling from and took all the little tiny, I don't have any more on my desk, all those little tiny balls and separated it because one, it just makes it easier, and for two, I have an insane blanket plan coming up, and I will talk about that more when I have a little bit more yarn to add to it. And I am gonna have to dye up some yarn for that, for the contrast color, but I'll talk about that maybe in about a month or so. So a little bit of a spoiler here, or a tease I should say. So yeah, so I got one box is all the little balls, and then my other box that's over here, I'm taking a little bit of a break, trying to work on other things, but this is all the yarn that I am working on in this blanket. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with my pixel blanket, because you're kind of new here, I am going on Pinterest and just kind of looking at quilt blankets and pixelated photos or drawings or whatever that I feel like I can convert to knitting patterns. And quilted knitting patterns is nothing new. That's been around for a long time. But that's just kind of where my fun space is right now, where I want to put my brain space. So I've been doing that and having a lot of fun with it. My actual pixel blanket, I'm realizing after the third panel, my colors are way darker than my inspiration photo that I'll put up here. And that's fine. You know, it is what it is. It's an inspiration photo. It just lets me know that I need to keep things random. Stop trying to make the colors go together, because that's not the point of the blanket. And use up the scraps. So what I'm gonna do is try to put more focus on this blanket, and then as I come up with, like, you know, as I'm using it and I have like little balls left, it's gonna go into that box with the other little balls of yarn. And then I'll have to see if I have enough to at least get halfway started on the next project that I want to do. And if I don't, then I'm gonna have to knit some fingering weight socks for a while until I have enough. Or I got like a bag. You may have seen it before if you've been on the channel for a while. I've got a bag of DK weight scraps and a bag of fingering weight scraps, and I usually make socks out of those. So what I'll probably do if I don't have enough as I'm working on this pixel blanket is to make some socks, and then from there I should have enough to do, like, you know, save little pieces of yarn to put into that big blanket project that I'm thinking about doing. So that's where I'm at right now. Still working on that Babette blanket, and I just finished another little section, and I'm gonna have to, when I'm done here, get on my phone, put the picture up, or at least the video up. I think the video is better. I didn't do a good photo thing last time, and I don't know why I did it the way I did it, but it was not helpful for me. So I'm gonna have to look at the video and then pause it and figure out where I'm at, and then make sure that my list is right, because when I went to go do the section of sixes that's on the graph, I realized that my colors are not going to be right, because I know that I'm going to have some colors that are going to butt up against each other. That's just the way it's going to be with this blanket. But I didn't want to have large sections of the same color right next to each other or touching each other. And for some reason, I guess I was just not with it. And I wrote down the colors that I need to put for a certain section, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. So it's probably going to mess up the whole freaking thing, and I'm going to have to rewrite this whole thing. Hopefully not, but, you know, that's what I'm going to do today. Good morning. So today is August 4th, and I'm in my craft room, obviously. With the influx of yarn that I have lately, just a thought that I'm having, with the influx of yarn I've had lately, a lot of it coming from the fact that I closed my business. It's still unofficially official. Is that how you say it? Anyway, I haven't gone through the state yet. Anyway, so now that my shelves are like completely full, and then I have yarn in a tote, and then I have yarn in another tote, and then I have 2 bags of yarn. Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of hard to not get overwhelmed. It's like, I gotta put you down somewhere. Hold on. I need to work on my arm strength or something, like the lateral, I guess. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it's a blessing to have all this yarn, and at the same time it's overwhelming, and I think it's okay to have both feelings, but we need to be, I think we need to be intentional about what we make instead of just making whatever, because we have all this yarn, all this blessing, right? So I look at it all and I'm like, okay, I've got 10 years. I figured it out the other day while I was sleeping, because, you know, instead of concentrating on sleeping, I'm thinking about things, right? So I'm laying in bed and I'm like, I have 10 years at least worth of yarn if I don't bring anything else in. That's a lot. For some people, that's not a lot. And some people, they want to have like a little yarn shop. Like, there's actually one podcaster that I sometimes watch, and she's got a she shed full of yarn. You probably know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to name names. And I'm not shading. I'm not judging. Nothing. You do you. We all have our own levels of overwhelm. There's some people who just don't want to stash, period. And that's okay too. So I'm trying to find this happy medium within myself where I'm looking at my yarn as I'm talking. I'm trying to find this happy medium in myself as I'm thinking about what I have, what I'm trying to not bring in, being okay with it, you know, and realizing that this is a slow craft. It's a slow craft. Things are going to take time. We're not Superman, Superwoman. We can't just blow through a project in like 2 seconds. It's not going to happen, right? So I think for me, and I'm going to sound like almost every other knitting podcaster out there, I want to be more intentional about what I bring in. And usually I am, which is why I shop at Smart Supply, because that kind of hones it in for me. Plus I'm saving money at the same time. And it's not always a big haul like what I just showed you a few minutes ago. So it's trying to find that happy medium, having all this yarn and having the projects for it, and being okay with not bringing in more. Am I making sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. Anyway, so yeah, every time I walk in here, I get a little bit overwhelmed, and then I have to remind myself it's a slow craft, and we just need to be intentional about what we bring in, which I think a lot of us are starting to do, especially since the economy is tanking and prices have gone up, and commercialism and all that, which was another thing that really bothered me, trying to find a happy medium where I'm like, I don't want to say I'm anti-commercialism, because I'm not, but I definitely think we have an overconsumption problem in the US particularly, and it was hard to be a yarn dyer and sell product while also like not spending like I want to sell. Does that make sense? So I don't have that on my shoulders anymore, but it was just one of those things that was just kind of hard to deal with. I think I'm not making sense. And I'm also rambling. But it was just a thought that I had today, and a thought that I've actually had for a little while. Every time I walk in here, I look at my yarn, and it's just something I think about. Anyway, so today I am trying to finish up a couple more squares on my Babette blanket, which I finished this part today. So on that graph, I'll try to put it up here. These are 4s, and this is an 8. Every size square has a name or a number, and that's basically how I'm doing it. And then whatever I can piece together is what I'm piecing together. And this here is going to get seamed to another section. So everything that I can knit together, I'm knitting together. So right now I'm actually working on a 12, so let me show you that. It is attached to my ball of yarn, but and I'm using Red Heart Super Saver. So this is a bunch of 4s attached to a 12, and so that's what I'm working on now. And then after that, I'm going to I got pieces everywhere. Let me put this down. Not all this is going to get done today, but these are the next few pieces I'm doing on this blanket. So this is another part, and this is at the end at the bottom, if you've seen the photos of it. Anyway, an 8 piece is going right here. And then after that, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from working on this blanket, because what I normally do with my projects when I have more than 3 or 4 whips is I tend to work the things I haven't worked, how do I want to say this? The things I've worked the least get moved to the front. So I'm already taking a small break on that pixel blanket. After I'm done with this blanket, I'm going to take a small break from that. Memory blanket is definitely on the back burner, and I just did a whole bunch of squares for that, so that's sitting on the back burner. I only have like 4 more squares to do on that before I lay it out and see if that's what I want. But since that one's the way back burner, I worked on that, and then I worked on the other 2 blankets that I just showed you or talked about, and then those are going to be sitting in the background. After that, I've got I need to start my acorn socks, and then I'm going to pick up my cardigan and start working on that. And then it's just kind of, okay, after that, what have I not worked on for a while? At that point, it'll be the pixel blanket. So I'll pick that back up and work on a strip, and then I'll be like, oh, it's been a while since I worked on the Babette. Let me pick that up. Pick that back up. Oh, it's been a while since I've done the memory blanket, and then I pick that up. That's kind of how my strategy works. It's not foolproof. It's not 100%, but normally that's how I do things, because I don't want anything languishing for too long. So if it's been like 3 weeks and I haven't touched the project, that's going to be the one that I'm going to pick up next, so that I at least get some rows or some sections done on it before I move on to something else. Because there's always going to be something that we gravitate more toward, right? And that's normal. I just don't want anything sitting for more than like 3 weeks before I, never touch it again, and then I'm like, and then end up getting frogged or something. And I've been knitting since 2015. I have not had that problem yet. So the only time I've ever frogged anything is if the yarn really was not working for the project. Because I went into knitting being very intentional about what I want to make, because I can afford it now, but at the time, the yarn for me was very expensive. I wanted to make sure whatever I was making was going to be something I was definitely going to use. It was definitely going to be in my color scheme. Anything I make needs to go with at least 2 or 3 other things that are in my wardrobe or other things that I'm knitting. So, which is why you almost never see me knit anything trendy, because I approach knitting the same way I approach going to the store and buying clothing, where it needs, and I think it's the mentality that just stays with you when you grew up poor. And so when you have to buy something new, one, you never take the damn tags off. Guilty, right? And another thing is I try to make sure when I pick an item, it's going to be relevant in my wardrobe for at least 10 years. So very classic, very traditional. Same thing when I'm knitting. There's a few pieces, where I might go, okay, this is going to be a fun project, blah, 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 blah. But by and large, if it's an accessory, normally, if it's a sweater, definitely, shawls, mostly. I'm looking at traditional colors, neutral colors, things that are going to go with more things in my wardrobe, things that I think might last and not necessarily be in style, but not be so out of style 10 years later. So that's how I approach stuff. Except for blankets. Blankets are supposed to be fun. So that's where all the scrappy stuff comes in, I think. I think that's why I really like scrappy for bags and for blankets. Anyway, I am thinking way out loud and rambling. So I'm going to move back on to my knitting. I think when I was talking about my yarn haul, I was going to do a hat with these two colors of the Cheviot wool, and I changed my mind. So I am going to do fingering weight gloves. I think these would be perfect for that. Not fingering weight gloves, fingerless gloves. I think that'd be great. I can get a pair out of both of these individually. This one I'm going to do first because this actually goes with most of my stuff. This color not so much, but I think it would be fun to do anyway. I don't know how long they'll be, so I'm sure I'll have something left over, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that wool afterwards. I think I've got a pitcher, like pouring pitcher, that I decoratively put worsted weight and bulky yarn in, and even though this says it's a heavy DK, I really think this is more of a worsted, so I will probably put it in there, and then one day maybe I'll do something with all that yarn, or my kids can throw it out when I die. I don't know, whatever, who cares. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So I'm going to end this week's vlog with a winding party because I have 6 skeins of yarn that I need to wind up for continuing projects and new projects, because I need to start a pair of socks for my son, my other one. The black and white pair of socks I already showed you in the last vlog or something. So they're going to my youngest this week. It's his birthday. So yeah, I started another pair of socks. I am now doing the autumn acorn socks as part of the autumn something or other set by Charlotte Stone. I meant to put the rum raisin on first for the toe, and I didn't do that. This is the rum raisin. I think I have enough to do a full pair of socks, but I think I'm not going to do a full pair of socks. So I'm going to do my boot socks. If you saw my last vlog, boot socks, it's just I have like these, they're not boot boots. They're like, you know, stylish boots, and they go up to the ankle. I actually have another pair of boots that are similar to that, and they go a little bit higher. That's what I mean by boot socks. So it's like 2 inches above a shorty. So I'm going to do that with the autumn acorn socks. So the patterning will be on the foot. Won't be a problem. I just need to remember, and I don't know why I started the color work on that last pair of socks, the leaf socks, so soon. I should have gone another row or two before I did that, and I just wasn't thinking. Because I normally don't have that problem, getting it over my heel. So I have to be mindful of that on these pair of socks. So I'm going to have a winding party today, and I'm going to close out this vlog for this week. I mowed the lawn this morning, so I look like ass. I did take a shower, but I still, you could tell that, you know, I'm a little flushed. Anyway, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll see you either the end of next week or the week after with another set of vlogs for Vlogust. All right, take care. Bye.